Greetings everyone, my name is Rejnols and I've been gone for just a few weeks. And if you didn't catch the update message on YouTube community, whatever it's called, the channel page thing, in any case, I got a full-time job. I used to be a student, now I'm not a student, now I work, and I needed some time to adjust to that. And obviously a lot of my time is spent at work now, whereas before I spent a lot of time at home. So I have less time for content, but that doesn't mean I will not do any content. There'll just be, less of it. Less frequently, and I hope that's okay. And if it's not okay, then, well, really, there's nothing I can do about it. In any case, we are back, and today we're looking at 5 tournament Custodes lists. And these lists are all lists that's placed fairly highly at these tournaments. I've tried to take a decent variety of lists, so they are obviously going to be a lot of the same units, because that's just how Warhammer competitive works. But I've tried to take some lists that are at least a little bit different from each other, so you can see the different ways Custodes are played at the top level right now. Now, first and foremost, let's talk about Custodes very quickly, what happened in the data slate, and what has changed ever since. Well, first and foremost, it's pretty clear Custodes are pretty damn good again. They are maybe not an S-tier army, but they do perform very good into a lot of different factions. They seem to be almost back at that 10-man custodian guard power level, but not quite, because obviously you cannot take 10 guards anymore, and you cannot just stat check some matchups. You still actually have to play the game, you have to use your units correctly, but Custodes are very strong. If you want to do the whole tier list thing, I would say they are A tier, and very much a bit of a gatekeeper army. They can win tournaments themselves, but a lot of lists are going like 4-1, 5-1, whereas like they can beat up all those other mid-tier armies, and then they can slightly struggle into some of the stronger armies in like A tier and S tier, but they can take wins off of them. So all in all, Custodes are in a great spot right now. The only real changes that happened in the data slate was that Custodes got 100 to 150 more points. Now on paper, that does not sound like a lot, but what it meant was that because of how Custode points just turn out to be, it means you can often fit in that extra squad of units or that extra character that you couldn't get before. And because of that, you just have more models, you have more units, and they stay alive more now because you also get protection against devastating wounds, which was obviously a big weakness of the army previously. There's also the fact that a lot of the top armies from the previous meta before the data slate got nerfed. Chaos Space Marines, Eldar, hell, even Sisters of Battle, who wasn't maybe exactly a strong thing into Custodes, but they also got nerfed. Basically, most armies in the game got nerfed, whereas Custodes only got buffed. So all of those things combined have made it so that Custodes are doing really, really well right now. Now let's take a list at let's take a look at our first list, not let's take a list at our first look. This one is from the Beachhead Brawl in England with 159 players, and this Custodes list placed 4th. His list is very straightforward. It's a Blade Champion, Trajan Valoris, Valyrian, 3x4 guards, 3 of them with spears, and then 1 of them with sword and shield in each squad, a 5-man Alara squad, a 2-man Alara squad, and then 3 4-man wardens with spears and Vexilla. Pretty damn standard, but I think this goes to show how those point changes kind of worked out for Custodes. This list here is like 120 points more expensive compared to before the data slate. And again, 120 points don't exactly buy you another full unit. But because the point changes worked out in a way that they did, whereas before when you were building this list and you're like, oh, I would like to have another unit of, wardens or guards, you couldn't because you had like 150 points left over and you just couldn't make it happen. But now, because we gained those 100 to 150 points, you can make that extra squad happen. And then instead of spending those points on chaff units or whatever it is, you can now take another unit of Custodes. If you're wondering where the characters are going, I cannot tell you for sure, but I can say with like 89.55% certainty that they joined the Warden squads, so the Wardens get their -1 to wound ability. I know a lot of people are still like, oh, but guards, but rerolls, blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry, that's fine. It's good, right? Characters with guards are good. Characters with wardens, however, is just really damn good. I think too many Warhammer players focus on killing, and that's fine. You play at a different, level or different kind of competitive whatever, and you just think it's fun to kill things. That's not how you win Warhammer most of the time. And wardens are just better, and they still kill. Wardens still do a lot of damage. You can go check out my video, which is guards versus wardens, comparing the two. Wardens still do a lot of damage. No, it's not as high as guards. It's still really good, and they're tough as hell to kill. But yeah, list is pretty straightforward. You get the characters in the Warden squads, and then you have 3 guard squads that can go around, hold objectives. Still fairly hard to kill. You can't just send out, chaff to steal away the objective because they'll get destroyed off that objective. The Alaris Terminators are great to take down big blobs or even just focus down a vehicle. And then the 2-man Alaris can either hold the backfield objective and be a bit more durable, or they can start in deep strike and do various action secondaries, whatever you need. Pretty straightforward list if you ask me. Moving on to our next tournament list. This is from Castle GT in Albine Cup. Or sorry, not an Albine Cup. Albine Cup in Germany with 156 players, and this list placed second. This list is a Blade Champion with Veiled Blade, Trajan Valoris, Shield Captain with Inspirational Exemplar, 5 guards with spears, 2x4 guards with spears, 1 Prosecutor unit, a 3-man Terminator squad, 2 2-man Terminator squads, 1 Warden squad, Caldas Assassin, and Kyria Draxus. So this list is a little bit more, well, not weird, but a little bit different, right? Because there's only 1 Warden squad, and then you have the guard squads. But I just said that Wardens are so much better than guards. Well, it comes down to preference, obviously. And I'm not saying you cannot make guards work with the characters. I'm just saying that the safer and probably, in my opinion, better choice is Wardens. But obviously, this person here did just fine with only 1 Warden squad. My guess is that he either puts Trajan or the Shield Captain in the Warden squad, depending on the matchup, and then have the other 2 characters in the 5-man guard squad and 1 in the 4-man guard squad. I'm a little bit confused by the 1x3 Alaris Terminators and then 2x2 Alaris Terminators. If this was me, I'd probably do 3x2 Terminators and then spend those 65 points on a Witchseeker squad and then perhaps a better enhancement for the Shield Captain, such as Ceaseless Hunter. But in any case, this is a bit more of a go wide list. I'm actually not entirely sure you have more Custodes on the table than the previous list, but you definitely have more units, right? You have Double Assassin, you have the Kyria Draxus with 1 guard squad, you have the Caldas Assassin, you have the Terminators that can blink around the map, do actions, hold objectives, all that stuff. And then you still have some kill pressure with the guards and the 1x5 Warden squad. So yeah, a pretty different list, even though most of the units are the same, and as I said, that is going to be happening because Custodes don't have a lot of choices for units in the first place, and the way the index is right now, only like 5 or 6 of them outside of characters are worth even considering. So we are going to see the same units a lot, it's just how the configuration of them will be different. Moving on to the third list, this is the same tournament as we just talked about, Castle GT, but this is the 5th place tournament list. For this one, we have a Blade Champion with Veiled Blade, Trajan Valoris, Shield Captain, then another Blade Champion with Ceaseless Hunter, 2x5 guards, 4 of them with spears and 1 of them with Vexilla and shield in each of them, a Prosecutor squad, 3x5 Wardens, Caldas Assassin, and Kyria Draxus. This list is going pretty damn heavy on characters, and you might be thinking, oh, I would be scared to give up Assassination. Well, you gotta remember, these characters are joining up into Warden squads, which are very hard to kill. My worry with this many characters wouldn't be giving up Assassination, it's just how many points you're putting into characters, right? Blade Champion with Veiled Blade is 145, Trajan is 160, Shield Captain is 140, Blade Champion with Ceaseless is 150. Quick math says that's like 700 something points, and then Kyria Draxus pushes that to like 800 something points in just characters. And that might be going a little bit too hard on it, but they still did great, right? 5th place is great at a 156 player tournament, and I think this list is closer to what I would be playing myself. Although I am not sold on Kyria Draxus with guards, I know a lot of people really like it, I just don't think it's for me and the terrain that I play on. But other than that, I think this is pretty close to what I would be playing myself. Then we go to the Northampton 40k Super Major, which weirdly enough has less player than the GT in Germany, but who cares? 104 players, and this was the first place list. It was played by Manny. I forget his last name, but he's a pretty well-known guy within the competitive scene. I think he also won the Warhammer World Championship. There was a little bit of drama there, and I didn't quite catch the end of the story, what happened. In any case, he's a pretty good player. He's playing 3 Blade Champions, 2 of them with an enhancement, Veiled Blade and Ceaseless Hunter, and then Trajan Valoris. Then he has 3x5 guards, and this is where things get a little bit weird. Because there'll be like one 5-man guard list, or sorry, one 5-man guard unit where it's like 3 shields and 2 spears. And then there's another one where it's like 1 shield and 4 spears. And I'm not sure if he just, put together whatever guards he had laying around and said, this is my list. Or if there was like a bigger meaning behind it. In any case, if you want to look at this list yourself, you can probably find it online. But anyways, 3x5 guards with a weird mix of spears and shields between each unit. Then a single prosecutor unit, and finally 3x5 wardens. Once again, a character is most likely joining each of the warden squads, and then depending on the matchup, you have the 4th character that can join a guard unit. And this is probably as simple a Custodes list as you can get. Not saying that it's easy to play and he got the win for free, that's not what I'm saying. What I mean by simple is that it's very, very easy to build this list, right? You go 3x5 guards, 3x5 wardens, then get a character for each of the wardens, and then you can decide if you want to get that 4th character for flexibility. You get a prosecutor squad, and then you go play the game. You put 30-something custodian bodies on the table, 15 of which are wardens, which are extremely hard to kill. With the Blade Champions, you have a great mix of offense mixed with the defense of the wardens. Trajan is just Trajan. And you have that single prosecutor squad to either just hold the backline objective and get you some primary points there, or you can deploy them a bit further up, let them do a mission secondary action turn 1, and then die, and then be happy about it. You get some movement shenanigans with Ceaseless Hunter on the Blade Champion, as well as fallback shoot and charge. Veiled Blade makes the Blade Champion even more killy. If you decide to put him with a guard squad, you can reroll all of your wound rolls if you're on an objective and fish for 6s for devastating wounds against like a vehicle or a monster. Yeah, as I said, it's a pretty straightforward list. Not saying it's simple to play and it's easy and blah blah blah. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not trying to get misinterpreted or anything. But I think if you're a new Custodes player and you're like, what do? Yeah, take 3x5 guards, 3x5 wardens, get a character for each of the wardens, decide if you want that 4th character for a guard squad, and then fill the rest of the list with whatever you have. And then for our last list, we have the Warhammer 40,000 Grand Tournament in England with 64 players, and this was the 2nd place list. It was Blade Champion with Ceaseless Hunter, Valyrian, Trajan Valoris, 2x5 guards, 2x2 Alaris, 1x5 wardens, 1x4 wardens, 1x3 Venatari, 1x4 Witch Seekers, Kaldis Assassin, and Kyria Draxus. Valyrian gives you Armor of Contempt in melee, which is something that we might need more of going into the future because it seems like more melee armies are coming into the mix. As I said in my Data Slate video, Blood Angels are looking kinda spooky, flying in with Strength 10 Thunderhammers, Power Fist, Strong Chainswords, all of those things. +2 to Strength on the charge is not something to laugh about. That can turn even like a Chainsword into a Custodes killing weapon. Then we also have the Venatari. They are still good. Venatari didn't become bad over the Data Slate. The issue Venatari are now running into is that they are proportionally more expensive than taking a 5-man guard unit. Before it was like, oh, I can take a 4-man guard unit or a Venatari unit. But now it's like, I can pay 25 points more than the Venatari and get a 5-man guard unit. Or 50 points more and get a 5-man warden unit. So that's kind of the issue Venatari are running into, but they're still great, rapid ingressing for free, moving 10 inches, all that stuff. It's just that they have competition for their points now, whereas before you felt more okay with taking Venatari over 4 guards because the movement and rapid ingress kind of made up for that 4th guy you're not getting. But now it's 25 points to get 2 more models in a guard squad, and that changes things. The Witch Seekers with their scout move is great for turn 1, get some objective taken or do a secondary action, whatever it is, it's great. Kaldis Assassin, still great. Secondaries, make something more expensive, amazing. Kyria Draxus for more shooting, again, not personally a big fan, but I know a lot of people like her. The 2x2-man Alaris list, Alaris unit, so you can leave 1 unit on your home objective, and then when you need it, you can pick them up and teleport. You can put them in Deep Strike to help do objectives, and then the rest is pretty straightforward. So, we've looked at 5 lists. Here are just some really quick thoughts about the general meta, for Custodes anyway. First and foremost, infantry is generally the way to go. As you saw in all of these lists, there was a lot of infantry and basically, well actually no tanks or vehicles. Obviously our Grav tank is still fine, but in general like lots of different list options are viable. It's just that there's not a lot of unit viability. It's going to be guards, wardens, characters, then maybe some Alarist, and then maybe some Venatari, and that's really about it. If you have some points left over, you will take some Prosecutors, you'll take some Witch Seekers, throw in an Assassin or two. And yeah, the most common slash best kind of list seems to be the 3x5 Wardens. I've talked about this already in the video. They are pretty killy, they are tough as hell, and they're just really great units. One thing to keep in mind is that terrain matters, right? If we look at US tournament list, which I mostly looked at UK list, or like European list, because I'm from Europe, but if we go look at American Custode players, they take more Graph Tanks, and you know why that is? Because they play with less terrain or player plays terrain, which means that there are more vehicles, more monsters, more shooting, and in those matchups the Graph Tanks are pretty good. In Europe, we're playing more with standardized terrain sets, right? GW, WTC, those kind of things. Which means that Graph Tanks are not terrible, they're just less viable, or less good, or less needed. So keep that in mind next time you write, should I bring a Graph Tank? Because everyone writes me whether they should bring a Graph Tank or not. I don't think so, but maybe I'm wrong because you play on different terrain than I do. Anyways, that is all for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you haven't done so already, you can join the Discord by clicking the link below. My name has been Rejnols, and until I see you again, I hope you have a wonderful time.